of me look like in 2020? Envision yourself. Really envision yourself. This year, how you're going to carry yourself, the way that you're going to speak, the things that you will no longer fear doing, the places that you'll go with courage. When I was in college, I took a speech class, and I used to vomit and get physically sick every time I had to speak in front of people. A lot of people don't know this. I struggled with social anxiety for many years. And when I had to take the speech class, I would break out in hives, my whole chest would get red, my stomach would ache, I would have to leave, go to the restroom because I was nauseous, my knees would shake. It was very dramatic. It was so dramatic. But I knew that I had a story to tell, and that at some point I needed to tell that story. I knew that I was going to become an author, and I knew that I was going to become a speaker. But I was so petrified. I was so scared. And I didn't believe in myself, and it wasn't until as I said earlier, I got around people that believed in me, and they kept pushing me out in front of the room. They kept saying, Jessica, I need you to speak here. Jessica, I need you to talk to these people. And over time, I started to believe in myself. And over time, I began to envision a better version of me. I began to envision myself on large national platforms. I was doing this 10 years ago. Envisioning, vision, seeing myself traveling internationally, being in front of thousands of people. Not just for the sake of being in front of people, because I'm not trying to be a celebrity, but being in front of people with a purpose, with a message. That if I can do this, if I can find my purpose, if I can move beyond all of these bad things that happen to me, if I can look up and beyond and hold on to this vision for greater, then so can you. So it's very important that when you take this question and you answer it, you are true to yourself and to how you really want to be. As a leader, do you find that you're timid? Do you find that you don't speak up when you have a question? It took me many years to find my voice. Because when I was a kid, I was always told, shut up. I was raised in a home where children were seen and not heard. So that conditioned me to keeping quiet, even if I had pain. So for some of us, the best version of ourselves is being able to speak and open our mouth. To be vulnerable, because that takes courage. To say, hey, what you're doing, you're not treating me right. It's not right. I can't tolerate this. Just like Star did. She said, I'm not tolerating this anymore. So what does the best version of me look like? Anybody want to share that best version of you? Yes?
The best version of me to me look like I no longer entertain the thought that my trauma or past trauma will block me from my blessings. You stick in the past. And not because certain things happen in the past. When opportunity arises, doesn't mean it's going to happen again. So sometimes we be like, it's going to happen again, and this opportunity can be something that puts you on to the next level. And sometimes we forget that. So personally, me, just not letting my trauma and my past control me.
Love it. Powerful. So hold on to that vision of yourself. When those people come, when those circumstances come that try to go beyond those boundaries that you set, go back to that vision of you being a person who has boundaries in place and not tolerating those things anymore. The best version of you. Hold on to that vision of yourself in that way. Anybody else want to share? The best version of you. What does that look like? Anybody on this side of the room? Yes.
Yesterday we were taught about the OKRs, and I shared with my friend that I almost failed to get into Hostos because I was afraid. I am not going to make it, I'm too old, blah, blah, blah. My better self now, I'm graduating, and I got into Hostos. Let me see if I can. But now that I know I can, I'm going to my watch.
On that note, that is something that I'm learning myself. I'm going to be honest. It's not that I mastered it already, but sometimes we close a lot of doors because of fear. Fear makes us, it just blocks us from a lot of things. Sometimes the only thing you need is to speak with someone, and that someone is going to open a lot of doors that we want to be open in order to grow, in order to be leaders. Leader is not just standing in front of people and giving them a speech. There is so many different type of leadership skills that people have. So that, like from me, that is something that I'm doing, and I made it as a purpose for 2020. Is losing the fear of being me in front of everybody. That nobody defines me. I define myself.
So you know what, I love what she said in regards to fear. How do we deal with fear as leaders? How do you deal with fear? Does fear ever go away?
No.
No. Yes, how do you go?
I believe the best possible way to deal with fear is to be as prepared as possible. Because when the outcome happens, it's like you do the best you could do, and even if you do fail, you're like, oh, I can do it again because I think that's far.
Great perspective, yes. So I have this thing that helped me. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So the more that I do something that I'm afraid of, the less the fear consumes me. To eventually, in most cases, I'm not afraid of it after a while. So the thing that we fear most is often the thing that we just need to do, because we'll realize that it has a false grip on us. Yes?
No, yeah, I love what all you guys are saying, because there's a quote that I love that says everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Yes.
I actually
Yes.
I've never been out of the country. I just got my passport last year. I'm actually going on a trip tomorrow, and I'm taking my first plane. I'm so scared. I don't want to die, but I need to do this. Because I said to myself, I'm going to do everything that I'm afraid to do. So,
Love it.
yeah, I'm afraid.
Love it.
Wish me luck.
You're going to be great. You're going to be great. You should blog that, by the way.
Yes, I will.
Awesome. Who's counting on me to be my best? Who's counting on me to be my best? Write that down on your postcard. Who's counting on you? For some of you, you are the only person in your family or community or in your sphere of influence that can bring hope for a better tomorrow.
Yes.
For some of you, you are that person. Who's counting on you to be your best? Yourself, yeah? It could be your children. Who's counting on you? Mom, yeah. Yes.
I mean, this is for me, but I feel like it's for everyone too, because you never know who is counting on you. You never know who, you might not even know them yet, or you might have met them and had, a brief encounter, but you said something powerful to them, you never know. So if you don't put yourself out there and be vulnerable, then you want to protect that person. But there are people out there that you can change their life, but you have to be present in the moment and know that, so that they can do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. For some, it's that people that I don't even know, but that need hope, that need encouragement, that need an example that is possible, that need to know your story. Absolutely. Next question. What new habits am I committed to developing? So remember we talked about those bad habits that we develop from coping? What are the new habits I'm committed to developing? I recently started taking Pilates, and it's so hard. It's so hard. My friend Miriam and I, we're like workout partners. We have a lot in common. We went to high school together, and we're both first generation. She's a first generation Haitian. I'm a first generation German. And when we were in high school together, we went through a nursing program together, and we were Facebook friends for about probably 8 years or so before we met in person this summer. And we started becoming like workout buddies and things and hanging out. So one of the things that we're holding each other accountable to is Pilates. And it's been really, really difficult, but I use Pilates as a replacement for the emotional eating. So when I'm feeling in a negative space, I'm like, okay, I'm going to now transfer and channel that energy through this class. And I also started doing some other things, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes. Anybody want to share what new habits they're committed to developing in 2020? Yes.
Take better care of my health.
Taking better care of your health. What does that look like specifically? What are you going to do specifically?
Okay, I make more healthy choice.
Okay.
I like to cook, and I like the things that are good for you, like the sweets.
Oh yeah, I know. Listen, I
And
know.
all of those things. So I decide now that I'm going to make a little changes.
Okay. So minimize the sweets.
To be honest with you, I'm morbidly obese, and I have arthritis in my joints, so I have to do something. So I've been putting it off for years.
Okay.
But now I have to.
Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Anybody else? Yes.
I plan on, my new habits would be more attending, more community stuff. I found myself traveling a lot and trying to get around because to me it's kind of hard to be around people. I didn't tell people usually, I came from a community, I was born actually hard of hearing, so I'm deaf as one ear, and I sign and I read lips, and I talk very well. So I was always in a protective shell, and growing up, it's still that I'm in that show where, because I was the only child, and until I turned 16, but then now, like, I started having family members, but I still feel like I'm that individual that has to be getting used to, like, being around
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like when I was home, it was like everything is quiet to me. So when I'm around in the street, sometimes I get stuff reaching around, and it's really hard for somebody who's
Sure.
So even when I'm traveling on the train, if I don't feel comfortable, it feels like somebody's grabbing me.
Right.
So my habit is to attend more. Like this was one of the amazing things. I always attended these workshops that Jesus put for the answer. So I feel like the more I came, it got me out of my comfort zone as to going around, running, and being able to communicate as more as I was.
Yeah. And you look confident doing it. So very good. Okay, one more. Anybody on this side? What new habits am I committed to developing? Yes.
Yeah, volunteer, be a volunteer, experience and help people.
Okay. So
I got experience in homelessness, working in the security company, supervisor. And that experience for almost 4 years inclined me to do the best
yeah.
work. But I need to work on my strength, weakness, and then I can do that.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Okay. What is my mission? So your mission is the thing that you are looking to do. So for me, my mission is to inspire and equip people to look up and beyond their negative past so that they can walk in their purpose. They can discover their purpose, walk in their purpose. That's my mission. I want you to create your mission statement. We won't have time to do it now, but I want you to think about the things that tie in with your mission so that later on you can go back and look at your 2020 vision and you can create a mission statement. And I'll tell you exactly how to do that. So think about, what is my mission? Why am I in Hostos? Why do I want to improve myself and focus on setting boundaries? Why do I want to develop as a leader? What's the impact I'm going to make? Why do I want to be an example for returning adult students who feel like, hey, I'm too old to do this? And here's what I've learned, because I work with teens, I work with young people, I'm working with a young women's mentoring program right now, and I have a handful of young teens that I mentor personally, and that was one of my battles. I said I wanted to do this when I was in my 20s. I just turned 40 last year. Actually, my birthday's coming up this month, and I thought, like, I'm getting too old for this, and I started to feel very inadequate, and then I realized that we have to change our perspective. And what I started doing was, I started to see it that I'm not too old, I'm bringing experience. The experience that you bring as a more mature person, the people around you are going to thank you so much for your experience.
And your wisdom.
And your wisdom. Yes, and the life lessons that you have accumulated. So always look at wherever you are, that whatever you're bringing to the table is a great thing, okay? So that's going to be very important because it's all about perspective. Okay, so mission. Anybody want to share? What is your mission? Yes, sir.
My mission is to foster Hispanic businesswomen who can give my kids what I couldn't have growing up.
Okay, so she wants to set the example that as a Hispanic woman, that you can be successful. She wants her kids to see that I'm a single mom, I've had adversity, I've had obstacles, but guess what? I was able to overcome them. And not just your children, but whoever it is needs to see your example, right? What is your mission? Anybody over here? Anybody? What's, yes?
My mission is to show that students with disabilities can make it, because I'm a student with disabilities. I have learning disability and I have dyslexia. So I want to be an example to show that just because you have a disability does not mean you can't make it or you can succeed. Because I can tease because I have a disability and stuff, but I'm pretty most people who have teased me that I'm in college, I'm going to graduate my associate's in Smith, and I'm going on to my bachelor's.
Yeah. Mission. She is on a mission to inspire people with disabilities. That if she can do it, so can they.
And she's shutting up the people.
Yes.
Yep.
Shut them down. Shut them down. What is your mission? Listen, your mission is what's going to keep you going. It's something that you'll be able to look back at. Okay, who am I going to be accountable to? Nobody likes this question. Nobody likes this question. We have to be accountable to somebody else besides ourselves. And that's very important because we'll always let ourselves down, but very rarely will we let other people down that are counting on us.
For me, it would be my family and friends because I would be the second person in my family to graduate college other than my grandmother.
Powerful. Wonderful. Yeah, so for her, it would be family and friends. I want you to think about a person in your life right now who is at a level higher than you in terms of where you want to go, where you want to be, who could possibly hold you accountable and check in with you maybe once every quarter, once every 3 months, and you check in with them and you say, hey, this is what's going on my vision, on my journey of getting this vision for 2020 out there, and you're going to need somebody who can do that for you. So do you have somebody that can do that for you? Okay. There's a person right next to you. Do you know them? All right, I want you to introduce yourself to the person next to you if you don't know them. Because everybody here is going to have an accountability partner. Yes, look, you too. All right, now that you know each other, I would like you to consider each of you being each other's accountability partner and saying that today, this is my vision. I'm I'm going to share my vision with you. And in 3 months, I'd like to have a conversation with you for you to ask me how am I doing with my 2020 vision. And I want you to ask me specifically, are you still looking in 2019 on the back of that card, or are you staying focused on the front of that card? Okay? So I want you to take 2 minutes real quick, pull out your phone, and put the person's name and phone number, and write accountability partner in your phone right now. Do that right now, and connect with them. Take out your Okay, everybody have their accountability partner? Still taking down numbers? Okay. So this is 3 months from today. What's 3 months from today? April 9th, right? You have a phone. Okay. You have an email? Oh, okay. Oh, you don't want to do it. Okay. Is there anybody here that does not? I'll be your partner. I'll be your partner. So when I'm done with the presentation, you will make sure that we connect on this one, okay? Yeah. Okay, everybody have their accountability partner? So this is what I'd like you to see this as. This is just the start, okay? So February, March, April 9th, you're going to put in your calendar, reach out to my accountability partner, okay? What you can do is you can arrange with each other if you guys want to check in once a month, once a week, whatever. But in 3 months, you're specifically doing a follow-up for your vision that we're talking about today. How's it going since the winter workshop series? Are you having any obstacles? Do you need any encouragement? How can I help you? February, March, April, right? April, right? 3 months, yeah. Okay? Okay, let's go to the next question. My vision is, what is my vision? What is my vision? So write the word vision down on your card, and under the word vision, I want you to write the things. They should tie very closely to your mission statement, right? Your mission. So what is my vision? My vision for 2020 is to be more outspoken, to be more courageous, to be more intentional, to be healthier, to have accountability. Yes?
I mean, would it be good to have a myriad of different things?
Say that again?
Would it be good to have a myriad of different things that you want to do?
Yes.
Or would it be best to just keep your vision a little bit more precise?
We're going to talk about that. Right now, I just want people to kind of dump it out, their ideas, and then we're going to talk about being more specific and strategic and like intentional. So good point. Yeah. So anybody have anything they want to share in terms of their vision? Like what is it specifically that stands out? Star?
To be successful and continue in agreement.
Okay, so just continuing on the path. Anybody over here? When you think about your vision, what stands out to you? So let's do this here. If I asked you what is the definition of vision, how would you answer that? Stand up. You guys hearing that over here? Okay, stand up please. So the question is, what is the definition of vision?
So my definition of vision for me is like how you see something in the future, like in 5 or 10 years.
Okay,
If you have achieved your goals, so something you have in mind.
gotcha. Thank you. So it's like you see a picture in your mind, and as you're going along the journey of growing, developing, eventually it will feel as if you walked into this picture that you had in your mind. So great, great point. Any other person want to share their vision and specific things that kind of stand out to you about your vision? Yes.
I describe my vision to be intentional, vulnerable, outgoing, strategic,
Love
and
it.
reflective.
Reflective, powerful, very good. Yes, sir, you had your hand up?
Right. I want to teach math for teenagers in high school.
So your vision is to become a high school math teacher.
Right, to create engineers and also environmental people,
All right,
time-based, because it's math related topic
got it,
to save and help the parents.
got it. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. Next to the word vision, or under the word vision, where you wrote those words, I want you to pick one thing in your vision that you're going to focus on for the next 3 months. One thing, just one area. Because sometimes our vision can be so large, and we want to do all these things, and then when we leave this winter workshop series, we're going to leave all pumped and hyped up, and then by Monday we feel totally overwhelmed because we're like, this is way too much for me to do. And it just does not seem like I can accomplish all of this. So we have to break it down into one thing. Like right now, for this quarter of my life, I am mainly focusing on creating new content for my business and my physical health, which is the Pilates class. Those are the main 2 areas that I'm focusing on in regards to my vision for 2020. So I want you to circle 1 or 2 things that you're going to hone in on. We're going to go to the next. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to hand out a piece of paper because we're coming down to the close. And we're coming down to a strategy that I believe is going to really bring this all home for all of us here. Take one and pass it down. Take one and pass it down. Okay, what word is that? Gratitude. Okay. Now for some of you, this may seem real corny, but I'm telling you right now, it's a game changer. Game changer. Everyone have their gratitude list, gratitude sheet? Okay. Over the summer, when I realized that I was really struggling with depression and I was going through all of this adversity that I shared with you guys earlier, one of the things that I started doing was I started going hiking. And I started doing, and I didn't even plan to do this. I was just tired of New York City, all the noise. I live by a hospital in Brooklyn. So from morning till night, I hear sirens and ambulance sirens.
So pretty
all
much
day.
Grey's Anatomy is part of your life.
That's what it feels like, exactly. And after a while, it just gets annoying, it just gets frustrating. And I wanted to get out of the city, and my friend Miriam, who I was talking about earlier, she started hiking. And she was doing a lot of research and finding hikes that were close to New York City. So we started taking the Metro North up to different parts of New York State, and we would find these hiking trails. Along our journey, I also found out that there are hiking trails right here in New York City that nobody ever talks about and tells you about. I mean, I've been to Central Park and I've been to Prospect Park. I live not too far from Prospect Park in Brooklyn. but we started going to like, there's a place up here in the Bronx, Inwood, is it Inwood Park?
Yes.
Right? So I went there recently for the first time before it got really cold, and it was beautiful. I felt like I was in a whole nother state. And so I'm saying all of this to say that as leaders, we have to be intentional about removing ourselves from the noise of life, from removing ourselves from the busyness and the stresses of life. And when I started these hiking adventures, which were super fun, I began to do something called a gratitude walk. And it wasn't planned, but it was so powerful, it changed my entire being. It was so powerful. So when we would go on these hikes, the reason that I enjoy hiking is because hiking reminds me so much of life. Like, you could be walking on a trail, and the trail is very smooth, and it's very easy to get from one point to the next, and then all of a sudden, you're getting to a place where it's very rocky. And now you have to find your footing, and then there are other places where the terrain could be more swampy, or the rocks get larger, and now you have to use a different strategy to go from one part of the hike to the next. And so I saw hiking to be so similar to life, where sometimes in life, the roads are smooth, and it seems like you're just chilling, going around, walking through life, everything is good, and then you come along this path of rocks, and now you're like, wait, hold up, I gotta find the right foot, I gotta feel this rock out, make sure it doesn't move, because if you step on a rock that moves, what can happen? And I've been with people on my hiking trails that they didn't have the right hiking shoes, so they weren't prepared, which you mentioned earlier. You got to be prepared, right, when you have a vision. But they also didn't take the time to feel the rock in front of them. They didn't get their footing, or they didn't get their grip. So I've seen people injured. And that's the same thing with life. We have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. We have to get our footing. So one of the great ways that I found, here's another trail. This was one of my favorite trails. So I've done probably about maybe 6 or 8 trails within like 2-3 months. I just kept going on these hikes. And every time I was on these hikes, I would have my gratitude list. And while I'm walking, I would say, I'm so thankful for, I'm so thankful for, I'm so grateful for, I'm so grateful for. And I would just think about all the things that I'm grateful for. And I would just leave all my problems back in Brooklyn for that time. Because they're going to be there anyway. And there were things that I couldn't control, didn't have control of. But I could control what was going on here. And so going on these hikes kept me from looking like that.
Wait, is that your dog?
Maybe. Maybe. So I encourage you, whether you're interested in hiking or not, to find something that you can unplug from, that you can get involved in, like the Tai Chi that we did today. That was like super fun. It was relaxing, and I know that I look so hilarious because I've never done it before, and I'm like here trying to keep up. I was watching everybody else, and he was here cracking up. My son Jared was cracking up at me because I was very awkward. But we have to do something, whether shooting hoops, just get away from it all. And when we do, to focus on the things that we're grateful for. So I want you guys to take about 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, and start writing down all of the things that you're grateful for right now. Just start thinking about it. Consider the things that we hear in the media, the things that are on television, the hardships that we've overcome, the obstacles that you made it through in 2019 that brought you this far. What are you grateful for today? It could be a person. It could be something that you have. An experience that you've experienced. What are you grateful for? When you think about how it could have turned out, but it didn't, what are you grateful for? I'm so happy to see those pens moving. Yes. All the things you have to be grateful for. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm grateful for is life. I'm 6 feet above ground. That's a start. What relationships are you grateful for? What lessons are you grateful for? Bless you. Remember those reflections? Look at where you've come from and what you've been through. Look how much you've overcome. Look how strong you are. What are you grateful for? Who are you grateful for? Who came through in a clutch for you? Who's that person you can call in the 25th hour? Anyone fill out their whole sheet? Or almost? Okay. We'll do another minute of reflecting on gratitude.